Greetings, anime fans, it's SuperKamiGuru9000. I am Corey, and joined with me is my fellow android, Christian. Today we are going to delve into the 7th Dragon Ball Z film, which features Goku and company squaring off against a gang of ruthless androids who want nothing more than cold-blooded revenge for their fallen creator. It looks like it's Judgment Day for our heroes, but can they survive? Find out in our review of the 7th Dragon Ball Z movie, Super Android 13.
It's pretty common knowledge at this point that DBZ is something of a brawny anime series, which tends to focus on action. However, this isn't a bad thing since anime is a medium meant to tantalize the eyes. This movie is probably the first one to have a simple story which boils down to androids want to kill Goku, so they fight. However, when the action is happening, it's brutal, fluid, and very memorable.
The story actually opens up during the android arc, which is awesome because like Cooler's Revenge, they tie this into the actual story and it fits. We see Android 17 killing Dr. Gero, which is a slightly more gruesome than the TV version. As Dr. Gero dies, his blood drips through the floorboards onto a computer, and I shit you not, Dr. Gero's will actually flows into this computer, and his desire for revenge manifests itself by creating 3 racially stereotypical androids. There's Android 14, Solomon Grundy's Native American cousin, Android 15, who is a purple liquor-swigging pimp, and then there's the leading villain, Android 13, who appears to be a redneck trucker of some kind, and the strongest one of the bunch. He has a crazy transformation later in the film, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Fun fact! Did you know that Android 14's Japanese voice actor, Hisao Igawa, is also the voice of Killer Bee in the Japanese version of Naruto Shippuden? Baka yaro, kana yaro, yeah!
In the middle of a large city, we see Goku, Gohan, and Chi-Chi enjoying a day together. They are also joined by Future Trunks, Krillin, Roshi, and Oolong, who thankfully doesn't do or say much. You're probably wondering why Roshi and Oolong are along for the ride. Well, the short answer is tits, and lots of them. As our heroes relax and chow down, we see 2 pods in Dr. Gero's lab have opened up. Android 14 and 15 make their way into the city and hilariously walk through everything in their path, even blasting a cop car in half. Eventually, the 2 Terminators find Goku and blast the fuck out of the building he's in, and Goku manages to pretty much save everyone in the building and then confronts his new enemies.
And thus begins the never-ending fight scene. Goku fights the 2 evenly at first, but the androids begin to slowly pick him apart. Trunks eventually arrives to help Goku, but he doesn't really do much. Goku realizes the city is too dangerous to fight in, so he and Trunks lead them to an Arctic icy battlefield where they can go all out. And just in time for the final battle, we learn that the final pod in Gero's lab has opened, and Android 13 appears before Goku. He explains they were created for the sole purpose of killing Goku, and whoever gets in their way would be killed. After a tense fight with the 3 androids, Piccolo and even Vegeta show up to help. Although Vegeta's reason for being there is the tried and true cliche of, if anyone's gonna kill the main character, it's me.
Our main fights are now set up. There's 14 versus Trunks, 15 versus Vegeta, and 13 versus Goku. Our battles have similar elements in that none of the 3 go Super Saiyan immediately, and each of them is beaten down until they eventually display their true power. Trunks decides to go all samurai on 14, cutting him in half. Vegeta has a very brutal kill where he decapitates 15 and allows him to catch his own head as it explodes. Now that 13 is the only one left, our heroes begin to gang up on him until he absorbs the power cells and memories from 14 and 15 and transforms into a blue Super Saiyan-esque redneck trucker android. Woo, that was fun to say.
Android 13 is now like a slasher villain as he takes out the heroes one by one. Piccolo tries his best with a flurry of punches and kicks, but apparently he doesn't realize that blue dick is better than green dick. If you get that reference, you win the internet. Vegeta gets taken out Bane style, and Trunks is repeatedly beaten and even gets an energy blast to the face at point blank range. So, as usual, it's up to Goku, but 13 won't let him have his victory so easily. And yes, this is also the movie where Goku gets his Dragon Balls punched. In something of a twist, it seems like Goku is going to use the Spirit Bomb to take out Android 13. He definitely goes through the motions. The Earth! Give me your energy! The wind! The trees! The water! The fuck! Instead, he takes his energy and he absorbs it and then punches right through Android 13, causing him to explode and disintegrate. And so, the android threat is over, and the film ends with our heroes recovering, and wondering about the whereabouts of Piccolo and Vegeta. In the final shot, we get to see that both Piccolo and Vegeta are hanging out on a small glacier. This scene is interesting, as in the original Japanese version, there is no dialogue whatsoever. However, in the English release from Funimation, they actually add in this funny little line where Piccolo asks, "So, when does the movie end?" And Vegeta responds, "When the fish jumps." And yes, the fish does jump, ending the movie.
So what did we think of DBZ Movie 7 Super Android 13? Well, to me, there isn't really much to say about this. The transformations were cool. The action was awesome. You had fucking future Trunks in the movie, so it's automatically badass, and he has a sword. It's just an all-around good DBZ movie. It doesn't progress the series along in any crazy way. There isn't some transformation in this movie that doesn't exist in the series. Well, actually, there is the big Super Saiyan Spirit Bomb transformation at the end, which honestly, to me, is pretty simple. He punches a guy and he blows up. It's pretty much like the Brawly movies, or the first Brawly movie. It's not that crazy. It's not even a big Kamehameha. It's just a big, powerful punch, a dragon punch or something. But to me, this is just a solid, good Dragon Ball Z movie. The action is awesome. Vegeta looks like a badass. Trunks looks like a badass. And Goku just gets his ass kicked the whole time if you really think about it.
I agree. It's definitely the most simple, I think, of all the Dragon Ball Z movies. It just starts out with fighting and pretty much never stops from there. I still don't think it's a bad movie in a sense, because since it's an anime, we have mentioned, it's meant to entertain you visually. And from that standpoint, it definitely does. The entire time the fights are going on, it's great. And I really like the fact that you brought up that Goku pretty much does get his ass handed to him the entire movie. And it does make sense. These are androids who are designed to do nothing but kill him, and they are pretty interesting. If there's one thing I do want to say, it's that the actual villain himself, Android 13, his initial form, and just his overall, character in general, I just think is kind of boring, especially when compared to the much more interesting androids 14 and 15, whose designs are much more initially radical looking than his are. I mean, when you first see them, you see this giant hulking zombie looking guy and this weird creepy little purple dude, and then all of a sudden there's this more powerful guy who's just a fucking trucker, and I don't know, it just didn't really come across to me as that interesting. And of course, when he does absorb their powers, he turns into that weird blue Super Saiyan thing, and he just becomes a brutal monster at that point. There are a few other things in the movie that do, bring it along a little. We didn't even mention the fact that Gohan and Krillin are in the movie for quite a bit, and they're mostly there for comedic purposes, as kind of are Roshi and Oolong at the very beginning of the movie. But they do help you sort of move the story and keep it at a much quicker pace. And yes, Android 13 does get taken out in a somewhat anticlimactic fashion by being just essentially punched right through. It's still really entertaining to watch, and it's not a very long movie. It runs out at about 43 minutes. So if you got some time to kill and you're a fan of action anime or just Dragon Ball Z in action, you'll probably be able to get something out of this, And like I said, it is sort of a nice companion piece to the Android arc as a whole. And unlike some of the other movies, it actually does fit into the timeline quite nicely. So I do appreciate that as well.
Thank you guys so much for watching our DBZ movie review. If you enjoy it, make sure to give us a thumbs up. It always helps our videos out. And until next time, SuperKamiGuru9000 out.